Chosen one. This is the moment your spirit awakens. You did not stumble here by chance. Heaven has orchestrated this exact moment so that your soul would hear these words right when it begins to stir. For years, you have felt different, unable to blend in, unwilling to settle for what feels wrong. Because you were never made to blend in, you were created to lead. You've asked yourself, why do I always feel set apart? The answer is not in loneliness, but in divine selection. God hasn't hidden you because He forgot you. He hid you because He's preparing you. A seed doesn't sprout in blinding light. It needs darkness, soil, and time. And when it finally breaks through the earth, the world knows a new season has begun. You are that seed. Your waiting season has never been wasted. There were nights when you wanted to give up, yet something deep inside refused to die, a quiet ember that kept glowing through the pain. Every tear, every unanswered prayer, every closed door has been gathered in heaven's hands. They were not losses, they were oil for your inner flame. There was once a chosen one named Daniel. For years, he felt stuck, his career frozen, his friends drifting away, his prayers echoing in silence. But one night, as he sat in his small room, a warmth rose inside his chest, a peace he couldn't explain. No thunder, no vision, just a calm that silenced his fear. In that stillness, something in him awakened. The next morning, everything looked the same, yet nothing was the same. That's what awakening feels like. It doesn't shout, it breathes. And that same breath is stirring in you right now. Picture yourself as a compass in God's hand. The storms may spin you, the winds may howl, but your needle always points north, back to your source. You may stumble, you may wander, but your direction never changes. That's why you're still here, still listening, still drawn to messages like this. Destiny recognizes its own voice. Others may not understand. They'll call you too intense, too spiritual, too different. But what they don't see is heaven etching your name into a divine blueprint. You've been chosen to awaken the sleeping, to carry light where the world has gone dim. Every scar on your heart is a signature of grace, evidence that you have lived, loved, and still believe. Don't be afraid of this change you're feeling. It's not confusion, it's transformation. You're being shaped from the inside out. The dreams you buried are breathing again. The wounds you carried are beginning to heal. Your heartbeat is syncing with heaven's rhythm. Awakening is quiet, but unstoppable, like a river carving its way through stone. It is declared in the book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 3. Let us press on to know the Lord. His appearing is sure as the dawn. He will come like rain, like spring rain, watering the earth. Let those words sink in. The dawn is not just coming, it's rising within you. The rain is not falling from clouds, it's pouring from heaven into your soul. This is not coincidence, this is calling. The same God who paints the sunrise has just painted your spirit with purpose. If you feel something awakening inside you right now, act on it. Like this message to mark your moment of awakening. Share it so another soul can remember who they are. And subscribe to stay connected as heaven continues to speak to those who have been chosen for this hour. Finally, as a sign of agreement, comment the number 7, the symbol of divine completion and new beginnings. Your light is rising. You have been chosen. This is the dawn of your soul. Chosen one. Listen closely. This awakening is not just about you. It is about those who will find their way because of your courage. When light rises in one soul, it gives permission for others to rise too. You are the spark heaven placed in the dark to ignite hope again. Don't underestimate the quiet power of your obedience. Every yes you whisper moves something in eternity. You may still feel small, uncertain, or unseen. But remember, God often wraps greatness in humility. David was a shepherd before he became a king. Esther was hidden before she saved a nation. Your story is unfolding in divine timing, not delay. When the world least expects it, your moment will arrive, and heaven will say, "Now." So stand tall. Lift your eyes. This new season is not a dream. It's your divine assignment beginning to take form. The dawn is not waiting for permission. It's already breaking open above you. The time for hesitation has ended. Walk forward. Chosen one. The world needs the light you've been carrying all along. You have known the ache of isolation, haven't you? That quiet distance between you and the rest of the world, the feeling that no one truly sees you, while others seem to move easily in crowds. You often stand at the edge, observing more than belonging. What you once called loneliness was not rejection, it was refinement. Heaven separated you, not to break you, but to make you. There is a sacred pattern woven through every chosen life. Before revelation comes, isolation. Before leadership comes, solitude. Think of Moses on the far side of the desert, tending sheep for 40 years before he ever faced Pharaoh. Think of Elijah hidden by the brook while the nation fell into chaos. God does not reveal his generals in noisy places. He shapes them in silence. Your isolation has never been emptiness. It has been incubation, like a seed buried beneath layers of earth. You were placed in darkness so roots could grow unseen. Every unanswered call, every friend who drifted away, every season when your name was forgotten has been heaven's way of teaching you to draw strength from the unseen. Because when you lead in the end times, you cannot rely on applause. You must be anchored in presence. There is a certain pain. Only the chosen understand the ache of carrying something others cannot perceive. It's like hearing music in your spirit that no one else can hear. You try to explain it, to share it, but words fall short. People smile politely, but they do not feel the rhythm inside you. Yet that melody keeps playing. It refuses to stop. That sound is your calling. I once met a young woman named Leah who told me her story. She spent years feeling abandoned by friends, even by God. While others built their lives, hers seemed paused. But during one of those silent years, she began to write. Her journals filled with prayers, with dreams, with visions she barely understood. She didn't know that heaven was turning her solitude into strategy. Years later, when people sought her wisdom, she realized her hidden years had been divine training. What she thought was isolation was actually alignment. Perhaps that is you now. You are walking through rooms that feel too small for your spirit. Conversations no longer satisfy you. The noise of the world exhausts you. This is not depression. This is transition. God is detaching you from distractions because He's about to entrust you with influence. If you still tried to fit where you don't belong, you would dilute your power. That's why the doors you begged to open stayed closed. Mercy shut them. When you are chosen, even rejection works for you. The people who walked away didn't abandon you. They fulfilled their role in your refinement. The silence you hated was the forge where your discernment sharpened. Every no became a boundary heaven built to protect the blueprint inside you. The more you resisted it, the more pressure you felt, until finally, surrender came and peace followed. There's a strange beauty in divine isolation. It teaches you to find joy without performance, to feel seen without being visible. It's where your roots go deep into trust. While others are busy being noticed, you are being nourished in secret. You are learning the language of stillness, the rhythm of obedience, the art of hearing the whisper that moves mountains. If you pay attention, you'll notice something miraculous in your quietest moments. Heaven speaks loudest. You'll sense direction without explanation, conviction without proof. That's how prophets are trained. God hides them so the noise of the world cannot drown the purity of His voice. You are being trained to stand when others fall, to see beyond what others fear. The word of the Lord is written in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire, and after the fire came a gentle whisper. That whisper is where you are now. It doesn't demand attention, it invites intimacy. You do not need a crowd to confirm your calling. Heaven has already whispered your name. So breathe. Stop fighting the silence. It is not punishment, it is presence. The loneliness that once hurt will soon make sense, because when the time comes for you to step forward, you will not speak from opinion, you will speak from encounter, and the world will know that your authority was born not from noise, but from nearness. Your isolation is your initiation. The hidden season is the birthplace of power. Stay there until heaven says, move. You've carried weight others could not see. Every time you smiled while breaking inside, heaven recorded it. Each time you encouraged someone when you were the one in need, the angels took note. That invisible heaviness pressing on your chest, the sense that you are carrying something too great for one person, is not imagination. It's evidence. You've been entrusted with spiritual responsibility. When God places anointing on a person, it rarely feels light at first. It feels like pressure, like gravity growing stronger. You notice the tension before you recognize the power. Many mistake that burden for burnout, but for the chosen, it's the signal that heaven is shifting weight onto your shoulders. It's the moment when you stop merely surviving and begin carrying the cause. Think of Joseph in Egypt. He was sold, accused, forgotten. Yet inside those prison walls, he was learning to govern before he ever touched a throne. Responsibility came before recognition. That is the way of the chosen. You are trained in private to carry what others will see in public. The weight you feel is not punishment. It's prophecy being fulfilled in silence. Sometimes it feels like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. You ask for rest, but the assignments keep coming. People around you lean on your strength as if you never grow tired. You hold families, teams, and hearts together. Yet who holds you? Heaven does. The unseen hand that has never let you collapse will continue to sustain you, even when no one else can. There was a man named Elias who once told me, "I don't know why everyone brings me their pain." He wasn't a counselor, not a pastor, just a quiet man who worked with his hands, but people sensed safety around him. He carried peace that couldn't be explained. One night, while praying, he realized something profound. He had been chosen to carry the atmosphere of heaven into ordinary places. What felt like a burden was actually evidence of his mantle. Chosen one. That same mantle rests on you. The heaviness you feel before storms. The way you can sense when something is wrong without being told it's not anxiety, it's discernment. God trusts you enough to let you feel what others ignore. That sensitivity is your superpower. But to carry it well, you must learn rest in His presence, or the burden will feel like breaking instead of birthing. You are becoming like an intercessor standing between heaven and earth. When you cry, you are not just releasing emotion, you are releasing intercession. When you walk into a room and peace enters with you, that's authority manifesting. You've been trained to carry glory in fragile form, your humanity wrapped around divinity. We find in the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 22, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved." Now, the weight is real, but so is the promise. You are not meant to carry it alone. Every time you release the burden to God, you make space for new strength to enter. And the more you release, the more power flows through you. So when you feel the heaviness return, don't despise it. It means you are trusted. Heaven does not place weight on the weak. You are stronger than you think, steadier than you realize. Your scars are medals of endurance. Now, pause. Reflect. If you can feel this message resonating deep inside, if it describes what you've quietly endured, then type, "I carry light," below. It's not just a comment, it's a declaration. You're not saying you carry pain, you're saying you carry purpose. Every time your fingers type those words, you're reminding darkness that its pressure only polishes what heaven has already chosen. Your burden is not breaking you, it's building you. And soon, what you carry in private will shine in public as the testimony of one who never gave up. You will begin to notice the shift. The same pressure that once crushed you now strengthens you. That's transformation. When the burden turns into fuel, you know heaven has completed a work inside your soul that only pain could perfect. You've become unshakable. The heaviness you carried becomes compassion. The sensitivity you once hid becomes discernment. The very things that made you feel too much now make you the exact vessel heaven can trust. Nothing you suffered was wasted. Every ache became training for empathy that leads others home. And when the next wave of pressure comes, you won't fear it, you'll recognize it. You'll whisper, "I know what this is." Because the chosen no longer curse the weight, they carry it with wisdom. You are no longer breaking, you are becoming. Every chosen life attracts storms, not because you have done wrong, but because your existence threatens darkness. The opposition you've faced is not random, it's revelation. Hell never wastes energy on what isn't dangerous. If you have been attacked on every side, it is because heaven placed something powerful within you. There are patterns in your past that prove it. Notice how just when you start to rise, something comes to distract, discourage, or divide. Notice how peace rarely lasts long before conflict arrives. The warfare around you is not proof of weakness, it's confirmation of assignment. The greater the calling, the greater the collision. Think of Job. He lost everything in a moment: wealth, family, health, and yet through ashes and anguish, he discovered something eternal. When everything else was stripped away, he still found God. That's what trials do for the chosen. They burn away illusion until only the unshakable remains. Your struggles are the furnace where revelation is refined. Maybe you've noticed that betrayal hurts more when it comes from those you trusted most. That's because betrayal is the training ground for discernment. God allows you to see what loyalty looks like when tested. You cannot lead in the end times with naive eyes. You must learn to recognize counterfeit affection wrapped in kind words. The pain of betrayal becomes the foundation of spiritual maturity. Every time someone walked away from you, something holy stayed behind wisdom. You learned who you are not. You learned what you will not compromise again. And you learned that favor often invites envy. Not everyone can stand near the light without being blinded by it. There's a story of a young believer named Jonah, not the prophet, but a modern one. He was passionate, sincere, yet constantly misunderstood. Every project he started faced sudden resistance. Every relationship ended abruptly. For years, he thought he was cursed. But one night, reading scripture, he realized something. Resistance had been his radar. Each battle had revealed the boundaries of his purpose. Where he faced the most pressure, he found his greatest anointing. The pattern you fight may be the path you're meant to walk. Your trials are not only tests, they're teachers. Pain is the tutor of purpose. The things you've endured have been shaping you into a weapon heaven can wield. You were never meant to live an easy story. You were meant to live an eternal one. The chosen walk through fire, not to perish, but to purify. When you understand this, the attacks stop feeling personal. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Because I'm called." Your tears become prayers. Your pain becomes prophecy. And every wound becomes a window through which God's glory shines. It's a strange paradox. The same blows that broke your confidence strengthened your conviction. Every delay that felt like denial was actually divine protection. The enemy thought isolation would silence you, but it only amplified your dependence on heaven. You are not fragile, you are forged. We read in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble. He knows those who take refuge in him." And those words were written for moments like these, when you stand surrounded by confusion, when it feels like darkness presses close. Remember, the Lord knows those who take refuge in him. He doesn't just see you, he knows you intimately, personally, completely. That knowing is your fortress. So, when the attacks intensify, lift your head. You're not being destroyed, you're being distinguished. Fire has a way of revealing gold. The more you endure, the more evident your authenticity becomes. Counterfeits burn away under heat, but the real ones only shine brighter. That's why the storm hasn't broken you, it's branded you. One day soon, you'll look back and see the design behind the damage. You'll understand that the very pain that tried to bury you became the proof of your calling. The betrayals built boundaries. The rejections redirected you. And the warfare revealed your weapon. Everything served its purpose. The attacks have always been the announcement that you are rising. Darkness does not fight the ordinary. It fears the awakened. That's why the enemy trembles at your persistence. Every time you refuse to quit, heaven gains ground. And though you have scars, they tell a holy story. They are not reminders of loss, they are records of survival. The enemy hit hard, but not hard enough. because even in your weakest moment, grace stood taller than grief. You were struck, but not destroyed, wounded, but not wasted. The storms were never meant to drown you. They were meant to reveal that you could walk on water. You have walked through fire, and yet here you are still standing, still believing, still burning with quiet faith. Every trial has tested the edges of your endurance, but instead of breaking, you became refined. The fire did not consume you, it crowned you. It's strange, isn't it? The same flames that once tried to destroy you have now become your testimony, like glass melted into crystal. Your story shines because of the heat it endured. Without the fire, there would be no brilliance. That's what your life has been, divine art formed in pressure. There's a rhythm in the way heaven works. Every burning season is followed by renewal. When one part of your story ends in ashes, God paints beauty over it with unseen colors. Every scar now carries the fragrance of survival. You are living proof that grace graduates its students with scars of gold. You've been through much, but your endurance is not wasted. The faith that has grown inside you is contagious. It sparks something in others just by your presence. When you speak now, heaven echoes through your tone. You have become the sound of endurance itself. A man named Samuel once told me, "The fire didn't kill me, it clarified me." That is exactly what God is doing in you. He's burning away everything that was never meant to stay. We read in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9, "I will bring them through the fire and refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, and I will answer them." And that is your verse. You are the silver. You are the gold. Each test was a question. Each survival was heaven's answer. Now you stand in a new dawn. Chosen one. What you have learned in private will soon serve others in public. You are no longer carrying ashes. You are carrying embers meant to ignite others. And if this message has touched you, let it live beyond this moment. Like this message, the way a torchbearer lifts a flame to the sky, each like is not a click, it's a spark joining the circle of light. Share it as if you were passing fire from your candle to another's trembling hand. In doing so, you multiply warmth in a cold world. Subscribe if you wish to walk with others who burn with the same holy purpose. This is not a crowd, it's a gathering of embers that together become a sunrise. Staying connected here means staying close to the fire that purifies, the voice that guides, the truth that strengthens. And if your heart feels moved, here is something to ponder, not as pressure, but as participation. Imagine this space as a well in the desert. Many arrive thirsty, searching for words that heal. Every message poured here draws from that same well. If you feel called, donate as one who refills the well, ensuring others who wander in can still drink deeply tomorrow. No amount is small. Each drop becomes part of the stream that keeps this flow alive. If you cannot give, know this: your presence, your prayer, your faith already sustain the flame. Support is never demanded. It's simply a choice to keep light moving through the world in your name. You are part of something living, something breathing. Together, we are the network of light stretching across nations, hearts, and timelines. Every act of support, every like, every share, every donation is another lamp lit along the path for someone still walking in the dark. Let the fire in you burn without fear. Let your generosity, in any form, be your way of saying, keep the light alive. Once your endurance has become testimony, your testimony will become transformation for someone else. And together, through every click, every word, every drop of kindness, we keep the flame burning free, fierce, and forever. When you give light, it always returns brighter. Every gesture, every kind act, every prayer whispered for others becomes a circle of grace that finds its way back to you in unexpected moments. What you release from love never leaves you empty. It multiplies. Somewhere, someone will hear these words because you helped the flame travel further. That person might be on the edge of giving up tonight, but your small action will remind them that God still speaks through human hearts willing to shine. And when the light circles back to you, it will carry warmth you once sent out. That's how heaven works. Nothing given in love ever disappears. It simply waits to return, multiplied. You've begun to notice them, those divine patterns that follow you like hidden breadcrumbs, numbers that repeat, dreams that return, moments that feel too aligned to be coincidence. You've wondered if you're imagining it, but deep down, you know heaven has been speaking in code. The language of God is not always thunder and fire. Sometimes it's subtle, whispered through timing, symbols, and patterns only the awakened can recognize. When your eyes begin to see beyond routine, you start to realize you've been living in a conversation with eternity all along. It's why certain hours on the clock catch your attention. 11:11, 3:33分, 4:44, or why a particular song or phrase repeats on the same day you prayed for a sign. These are not accidents, they are alignments. Heaven often uses repetition to reveal revelation. When your spirit vibrates with awareness, you begin to hear what silence has been saying all along. I see you. You're still on track. But divine patterns go beyond numbers. They appear in seasons, cycles of breaking and rebuilding, silence and speaking, waiting and walking. Every time your life seems to circle back to a familiar place, it isn't failure, it's refinement. You are revisiting lessons until wisdom settles deep enough to sustain your next elevation. Imagine your life as a tapestry. From your viewpoint, you see knots, tangles, and threads without sense. But from heaven's view, every twist is part of an intricate design. The same color that looked random on one side forms sacred symmetry on the other. That's why sometimes God repeats his patterns. It's his way of weaving meaning into motion. There's a story of a woman named Esther who used to dream of the same door, an ancient wooden gate covered in light. Every time she touched it in her dream, she would wake up. For years, she dismissed it as random. But one day, during prayer, she saw that same image in a vision. This time, the door opened. Inside was peace she'd never felt before. She realized the door wasn't a symbol of arrival, it was a pattern of preparation. Heaven had been showing her that patience opens what force cannot. Scripture says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 2, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search it out is the glory of kings." You, chosen one, are that seeker, the king, the queen who dares to search out what heaven hides in plain sight. Each sign is an invitation, not a performance. When you pay attention, you honor the language of the divine. Sometimes, patterns appear right before a major shift. It's heaven's way of saying, get ready. Maybe you've been seeing numbers, hearing names, or revisiting memories from years ago. Don't ignore them. They are echoes of destiny calling you forward. Like coordinates on a map, they guide your next step if you dare to follow. But be careful not to worship the pattern more than the one who designs it. Numbers and signs are not magic. They are messages. Their purpose is not fascination but formation. They draw you closer to the voice that gave them life. When you see repeating signs, pause, breathe, and ask, Lord, what are you teaching me in this moment? You might find that sometimes the pattern is simply confirmation you're not lost. Other times, it's correction. He's steering you back before distraction blinds you. Whether it's repetition, rhythm, or revelation, every pattern points to presence. The closer we walk with God, the more fluent we become in His language. To the world, it looks like coincidence. To the chosen, it feels like conversation. And that's exactly what it is, a divine dialogue between heaven and your heart. There's a reason you're hearing this message now. It's part of that pattern. It's heaven saying, you're paying attention again. Keep going. When you start seeing meaning where others see randomness, it's a sign that your spirit has awakened. So, chosen one, as you reflect on what heaven has been whispering through numbers, moments, and divine alignments, I invite you to mark this moment in faith. Comment the number 5 below, not as superstition, but as a prophetic act of grace. The number 5 represents transformation and divine favor. A reminder that change is not chaos, it's choreography. When you type that number, you're saying, I see the pattern, and I trust the process. You're aligning yourself with heaven's rhythm, declaring that even in mystery, you will move in faith, because you were never meant to live by chance. You were meant to walk by design. There are seasons when heaven hides you, not as punishment, but as protection. You might not have understood it at first. You thought God had gone silent, that maybe you had done something wrong, that somehow the calling you once felt had vanished into the dark. But you were never forgotten. You were being hidden. When God chooses to hide you, it is because what He placed inside you is not ready for public view. The same way a seed must remain underground before it bursts through the soil. You were buried, not buried to die, but buried to grow. The world could not yet handle the version of you heaven was forming. Hidden seasons are holy. They teach you to depend on what cannot be seen. While others chase visibility, you learn intimacy. While others fight for recognition, you learn revelation. It is in the silence of obscurity that the voice of God grows loudest. That's where you discover who you are apart from applause, where you realize that purpose isn't proven by attention but by obedience. There's a story of a young man named Aaron who spent years feeling invisible. Every door he knocked on seemed to close. Every plan fell apart just when it was about to succeed. He prayed for promotion, but instead found himself in delay after delay. One day, in frustration, he said aloud, God, where are you? And in that still moment, a whisper came to his spirit, I'm here, but I'm hiding you. And from that day, everything changed. He began to see his no's as divine shields. The people who didn't notice him were never meant to boast tiff. The opportunities that passed by were never assigned to him. What once felt like rejection began to feel like protection. Aaron learned that when God hides you, He's not withholding destiny, He's preserving it. You see, when heaven conceals a person, it is not because they are unworthy, it's because they are anointed. Anointing cannot be exposed too soon, or it attracts what would try to destroy it before it matures. Think of David tending sheep in the fields long before facing Goliath. Think of Joseph in the prison before standing before Pharaoh. Each hidden season was an incubation chamber where character caught up to calling. In hiddenness, God removes the noise. He strips away the need for validation. You learn to move without clapping, to pray without answers, to trust without clarity. And in that stripping, you gain something rare, purity of motive. When you finally emerge, you no longer seek light for yourself, you become light for others. We read in the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 3, I will give you the treasures of darkness, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, who summons you by name. What a promise that even in darkness, treasures are waiting. The hidden season is not empty, it's full of unrecognized riches. Every tear you've cried has watered wisdom. Every lonely night has refined discernment. What felt like silence was actually strategy. Maybe that's why God closes certain doors that everyone else walks through easily. It's not to punish you, but to preserve the purity of your purpose. You're not being left behind, you're being reserved for the right moment. When the time comes, what once ignored you will seek you. Hiddenness is also where intimacy deepens. When no one else sees you, you discover that God does. His presence fills the spaces applause never could. You begin to crave the secret place more than the stage. And when you walk back into visibility, you carry peace that no spotlight can counterfeit. If you could see from heaven's perspective, you'd realize that concealment has been kindness all along. The delay you feared was actually mercy, giving you time to become the person your destiny requires. Like wine aging in the dark, your value has been increasing in silence. There will come a day when the door opens, and everything that once seemed still will move at divine speed. But when it does, you'll be ready, not desperate for recognition, not hungry for validation, just steady. You'll move with the authority of one who's been in the secret place. Until then, cherish the quiet. These are the moments most people rush through, but they are the soil of greatness. In hiddenness, God writes the parts of your story that no one else will ever see, but everyone will feel when you speak. The hidden season is not absence, it's preparation. And soon, what was unseen will be undeniable. You may not realize it yet, but you walk with unseen authority. The air shifts when you enter a room. The atmosphere reacts to your presence because heaven recognizes its own. This is not arrogance, it's awareness. The chosen do not boast in themselves, they simply know who walks with them. You've been through too much to be ordinary. Every storm you survived added a layer of strength around your spirit. You didn't just overcome, you absorbed wisdom from the battle. Now, even in silence, you carry a power that speaks. When you pray, things move. When you intercede, darkness trembles. And when you walk in alignment, the unseen world pays attention. There's a realm beyond what human eyes can measure. In that realm, light and shadow still contend for ground. The chosen are heaven's ambassadors in that conflict. Every step you take in faith reclaims territory. Every word spoken in truth breaks an old chain somewhere unseen. This is why your obedience matters more than you know it, shifts the spiritual map of the world around you. You might not see the results right away, but creation responds to you. When your heart aligns with God's will, your words carry weight. Angels move at the sound of your agreement. It's not because you are powerful by nature, it's because your surrender has made you a vessel of divine power. The authority you carry flows not from ego, but from intimacy. Imagine a lighthouse on a dark shoreline. It doesn't chase ships, it simply stands, shining. Yet every beam it releases guides sailors to safety. That is you. You don't have to strive for influence. Your light does the work. The more you remain steady in truth, the further your reach becomes seen and unseen. There's a story about an elderly woman named Ruth who prayed every morning for her small town. No one noticed her much. She wasn't on platforms or stages. But years later, people would say that something about that town always felt protected. When Ruth passed away, a neighbor found her prayer. Journals filled with names, dates, and petitions. What no one realized was that her quiet obedience had built a wall of light around them. She never needed recognition to be powerful. Heaven had long known her name. That's what spiritual authority looks like. It's quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. True authority doesn't need to shout. It moves in stillness, and even storms respect its command. It is written in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." 1. That promise wasn't meant only for Joshua, it's for every chosen one who carries divine presence into modern wildernesses. Wherever you go, God's authority travels with you. You don't have to demand it, it's already embedded in your spirit. Sometimes, you'll feel that authority most when you least expect it. You'll speak a simple word to someone, and peace will suddenly enter the room. You'll walk into places heavy with confusion, and things will begin to shift before you even say a prayer. That's not coincidence, it's confirmation. The unseen realm recognizes who you are, even when you doubt it yourself. But remember, authority is not control, it's responsibility. The power God entrusts to you is not for domination, it's for restoration. You are meant to carry His gentleness as much as His strength. You command storms not to impress others, but to bring calm where chaos has taken hold. You speak life not to sound wise, but to remind the world of hope it forgot. This is why your posture matters. Authority without humility becomes noise, but authority clothed in compassion becomes healing. When people encounter you, they should feel the same safety that Ruth's town felt, an invisible shield of peace. You may think your prayers are small, your faith too quiet to matter, but heaven disagrees. Every whisper you release is recorded. Every act of kindness carries power. You are not walking alone. You are escorted by grace. You are not merely surviving, you are governing through surrender. One day, you'll look back and realize that the reason darkness fought you so fiercely is because it saw what you carry. It recognized your potential long before you did. Every attack was a clue to your assignment, and every victory, no matter how small, became a signal to heaven that you can be trusted with more. So, walk confidently. Chosen one, not in pride, but in peace. Let your silence be authority. Let your presence be prayer. Because wherever you go, heaven goes with you, and that changes everything. You've felt it before, the resistance that rises whenever you try to speak truth. Every time you open your mouth to share what burns in your heart, something tries to silence you. Distraction appears. Doubt whispers. People misunderstand. And you wonder, why is it so hard to speak what I know is right? The answer is simple yet spiritual. Your voice carries power. The war over your voice is proof of your value. The enemy is not threatened by noise, he's threatened by truth. And your words carry truth, sharpened through pain, purified through seasons of silence. When you speak, chains break, sometimes not even your own, but those wrapped around others. You might think you're just sharing encouragement or wisdom, but heaven knows that every word you release into the world becomes a spark in the dark. The moment you open your mouth with conviction, something shifts. That's why opposition comes. It's not about you, it's about the message inside you. Think of Moses. His voice trembled when God called him. He said, "I am slow of speech." Yet it was that same uncertain voice that declared freedom to Pharaoh and changed the destiny of nations. Heaven specializes in using hesitant voices to release unstoppable truth. Every chosen one must come to this crossroads, silence or speak. And when you choose to speak, the spiritual realm takes notice. Darkness does not fear your shouting, it fears your obedience. I once met a young woman named Elise who always felt afraid to share what she sensed spiritually. She'd write messages in her journal but never post them. One night, she felt an unmistakable push in her spirit. Someone needs to hear this now. Trembling, she shared it online. The next day, she received a message from a stranger saying, "I was about to give up tonight, but your words stopped me." That's when she realized the fight over her voice was never about her fear, it was about her assignment. Your story might be the same. Every time you've been silenced by rejection, by anxiety, by the opinions of others, it was an attack on your divine frequency. But you cannot be muted forever. The fire within you is not meant to stay contained. When you speak with truth and compassion, Ju Echo, heaven. It was written in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 9. His word is in my heart, like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. That verse belongs to you. The fire in your bones will not stay quiet. You were not designed to whisper when truth is needed. The same spirit that spoke through prophets now breathes through you, not to shout louder than others, but to speak clearer than confusion. Your voice doesn't need perfection, it needs presence. Every time you speak with faith, even trembling faith, heaven amplifies your sound. Don't measure your influence by numbers, measure it by obedience. Sometimes, one sentence spoken in truth can shift a life forever. Maybe you've been through seasons where your words were twisted or your intentions misunderstood. Don't let that pain steal your sound. Let it refine your tone, not silence it. The world doesn't need louder noise. It needs authentic voices anchored in love and truth. You are one of them. When you speak light, the shadows retreat. When you speak peace, chaos loses ground. When you speak faith, heaven partners with your breath. Every syllable wrapped in surrender becomes a weapon of light. And now, as you read these words, If your spirit feels that old fire rising again, if something inside you says, "It's time to speak then," don't wait. Let this be your moment of agreement. Comment, "I will speak," below. Let it be your declaration. Not to prove yourself, but to remind darkness that your silence ends here. Because this world does not need another echo, it needs your original sound. And your voice, chosen one, was made for this exact hour. Your words are more than sound. They are assignments released into the air. Each one travels farther than you imagine, planting seeds in hearts you may never meet. Heaven measures obedience, not volume. And every time you speak in truth, eternity takes note. When you wrote or whispered something that comforted another soul, that was ministry. When you prayed quietly for someone who never knew, that was warfare. When you stood firm instead of staying silent, that was leadership. You've been ministering without even realizing it. So when you commented, "I will speak," you weren't typing letters, you were signing a covenant. You declared to heaven that fear will no longer rule your voice. That's not rebellion, that's restoration. And heaven heard you. Something is stirring across the earth, quietly, without headlines or applause. A new kind of leader is rising, those who have walked through fire, sat in silence, and learned to listen to heaven. They are not here to build platforms, they are here to rebuild hearts. You, chosen one, are part of that awakening. The mantle of leadership is not falling on the loudest voices, but on the purest hearts. The world is desperate for light that doesn't flicker, truth that doesn't bend, and compassion that doesn't tire. Heaven is calling forth men and women who have faced their own darkness and still choose love. These are the end-time leaders, not crowned by crowds, but marked by conviction. They lead not from thrones, but from tears turned into wisdom. You may not see yourself as a leader, but heaven does. Leadership in these times does not always mean standing on a stage. Sometimes it means standing alone. Sometimes it means being the calm in chaos, the steady heart in the storm. The leadership God calls for now is not about position, it's about presence. Imagine a lantern on a mountain path. It doesn't chase the travelers, it waits, shining quietly, guiding those who find it. That's what you are, a steady light for those who have lost their way. You don't have to strive, just shine. Your consistency is your message. Your endurance is your influence. And leadership, in its purest form, is service. To serve with humility is to lead with strength. You are being prepared to lead through example, through love, through integrity that outlasts applause. The storms you've faced have not disqualified you. They've trained you to be unshakable when others panic. It is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 16, "Do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased." That verse captures the essence of true leadership: doing good quietly, sharing freely, living generously. The chosen lead not by demanding, but by giving. They understand that generosity is a form of worship, an invisible sermon that speaks louder than words. If this message stirs something in you, take a moment to let gratitude flow through you. Gratitude is the first fruit of leadership. It turns what you have into enough and transforms service into joy. When you feel moved, let that gratitude overflow. Like this message as an act of acknowledgement, a simple amen to what heaven is awakening inside you. Share it with someone you sense is also being called higher. Perhaps they don't know yet that their waiting has purpose. Your share might be the spark that reignites their courage. Each share is like placing another lantern along the path for others to see. Subscribe if you wish to stay connected with this stream of messages. Think of it not as following, but as sitting beside a fire that keeps your heart warm week after week. This space is not about building followers. It's about gathering flames that keep the darkness at bay together. And if this message has deeply moved you, I invite you to consider something more, something sacred, not pressured. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. The water nourishes everyone it touches. But that river only continues to flow when those who drink from it also feed its source. If you feel led, you can donate, not as duty, but as devotion. It's like pouring a cup of water back into the stream so that others, still thirsty, can drink tomorrow. Every message here is created from a place of prayer, reflection, and love. Each word is meant to reach someone who feels forgotten, someone who needs to be reminded of their worth. Your support, whether financial, spiritual, or emotional, helps that message keep traveling, like light across miles of midnight. If giving isn't possible for you right now, that's perfectly fine. Your attention, your prayers, your kindness are gifts too. The goal is never pressure, it's partnership. Together, we build something beautiful, a network of hearts united by compassion, each one adding a small flame to the great fire of faith. You see, when leaders arise, they lift others with them. One voice becomes a shwa. One act of faith becomes a movement. Every gesture of love echoes far beyond what eyes can see. You are part of that echo. So, whether you like, share, subscribe, or quietly pray over this message, you know that you're part of the unfolding miracle. You are helping heaven's voice be heard through simple human hands. Because leadership in this era is not about being followed, it's about being faithful. And every small act of light you release becomes part of heaven's great symphony of hope. Your light matters. Your voice matters. Your generosity matters. Together, they create a sound that tells the world, the chosen are awake. There comes a time in every chosen life when heaven begins to transfer weight, not of burden, but of authority. You start to feel it in your spirit, like a quiet certainty that something has shifted. What once felt like survival now feels like stewardship. You're no longer asking, "Why me?" but instead, "What now, Lord?" That question marks the beginning of divine inheritance. This is the season of the transfer of kingdom power. It doesn't arrive with noise or spectacle. It comes through alignment, through the slow, faithful yeses that built your inner strength while no one was watching. Heaven never entrusts influence to those who crave it. It entrusts it to those who have proven they can carry it without corruption. Power, in heaven's design, is not control, it's capacity. It's the grace to hold more light without being consumed. When God transfers power, He's not giving you something external. He's awakening something internal that was always meant to lead. The authority you now carry is not a crown of status, but a mantle of responsibility. There's a sacred exchange happening even now. As you release old fears, God is placing courage in their place. As you surrender bitterness, wisdom takes root. As you give up control, divine order begins to flow through you naturally. You begin to think differently, Pray differently. Speak differently. Heaven's rhythm replaces the noise of anxiety. And suddenly, what once drained you now fuels you. Think of Elisha following Elijah. For years, he walked faithfully, serving quietly, never asking for recognition. But one day, when the time of transition came, Elijah said, "What do you want me to do for you?" And Elisha answered, "Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit." He wasn't asking for fame, he was asking for function. And when the mantle fell, it didn't change his name, it revealed his nature. The same principle is unfolding in your life. The waiting has refined your motive. The testing has purified your heart. Now heaven knows you can be trusted with greater measure. The mantle coming upon you is not for comfort, it's for impact. It's for the people who will walk behind you, tracing your steps toward their own freedom. But remember, the kingdom doesn't measure power the way the world does. True strength looks like peace under pressure. True authority sounds like kindness that cannot be shaken. Power in the kingdom is not loud, it's lasting. It's the ability to love when others hate, to forgive when others hold grudges, to stay steady when others scatter. We read in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 20, "For the kingdom of God is not in word, but in power." That verse defines this very season. The chosen are stepping into a power that doesn't need to announce itself. It's not about what you say, it's about what shifts when you walk into a room. The kingdom of God manifests wherever surrendered hearts carry His authority into broken places. You might start noticing that people seek your counsel more, or that situations change after you pray. That's not coincidence. Heaven is expanding your influence, not to exalt you, but to exalt the one working through you. The transfer of power always comes with an increase of humility. The more you carry, the more you bow, and sometimes this new authority will feel heavy. You'll sense burdens that aren't your own. Feel compassion that interrupts your routine. That's part of the mantle. It makes you sensitive to what heaven feels. You become an instrument of divine empathy, able to see people not as they appear, but as they are destined to become. The key to carrying this power well is staying anchored in love. Authority without love becomes arrogance. But when love governs your heart, every word you speak carries healing. Power that flows through compassion becomes unstoppable. You are entering a time when your very presence will bring alignment. People will say, "Something changes when you're here," and they won't even understand why. It's because you carry atmosphere. You host the presence that transforms spaces. And even when you don't feel powerful, remember this truth. Power is not always a feeling, it's a fact. The authority you carry is active, whether you sense it or not, because it's rooted in covenant, not emotion. Walk gently, but walk boldly. Heaven has entrusted much to you, not for recognition, but for redemption. You are the living evidence that God still transfers power to ordinary people for extraordinary purposes. This is your inheritance. Wear it quietly, carry it faithfully, and let your life become proof that true power never shouts, it simply shines. Have you felt it lately? The strange sense that time itself is speeding up. Days blur together. Seasons shift faster. And something deep in your spirit whispers, "We are closer than ever before." That feeling isn't anxiety, it's awareness. Your spirit knows what your eyes cannot yet see. The hour is late, and heaven is near. Chosen one. Your soul feels the rhythm of eternity. That restlessness inside you is not random, it's revelation. The more the world grows noisy, the more your inner being longs for clarity. You've begun to notice how temporary everything feels, how what once satisfied no longer does, how old desires fade as new purpose awakens. That's because heaven is preparing your heart for alignment with divine timing. There is an acceleration happening in the unseen realm. God is moving swiftly, drawing his chosen into position. The same way a conductor lifts his hand before the final crescendo, heaven is signaling that a new movement is about to begin. You can feel it in your bones, the weight of destiny pressing closer. The quiet conviction that the window of purpose is now. It's not about fear, it's about readiness. The chosen don't panic when time shortens, they prepare. You have walked through seasons of silence, pruning, and revelation, not by chance, but by design. Everything you've endured was training for this era. Heaven doesn't rush the unready. And now, after all you've faced, you are ready. You've probably noticed that your discernment has sharpened. You sense truth and deception quickly. You recognize spiritual tension, even in casual conversations. You see patterns others overlook. That is not paranoia. It's prophetic awareness. God has been tuning your senses to hear what heaven is saying amid the noise of the world. The Spirit is calling his people to awaken fully, not in fear, but in focus. This is not the time for distraction, for running after temporary pleasure or false comfort. It's the time to stand alert, to live intentionally, to walk in peace while the world trembles. It is written in the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. The hour has come for you to wake from your sleep, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. Endu. Those words are not ancient history, they are present truth. The world may call it uncertainty, but heaven calls it urgency. Every sunrise is a reminder that time is both gift and assignment. Every breath is permission to fulfill what you were born to do. When the chosen understand the hour, they live differently. They forgive faster, love deeper, and serve with purpose. They stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it. You are being called into that awareness to live not by chance, but by divine rhythm. There is no need to fear the future when you walk with the one who holds it. The same God who guided you through storms will guide you through acceleration. What feels like pressure is just heaven's way of aligning you with destiny. The clock is not your enemy, it's your teacher, reminding you to use every moment wisely. And now, as your heart beats with that awareness, I invite you to mark this moment as sacred. Comment the number 8 below, symbol of new beginnings and eternal flow. It represents not an ending, but the continuous cycle of God's faithfulness. When you type that number, you're declaring, I'm ready for what's next. I'm aligned with heaven's timing. This isn't superstition, it's symbolism. The number 8 reflects resurrection, the moment when what seemed finished begins again. It's a reminder that even as the world shifts, your spirit remains anchored in eternity. Every chosen one must come to this realization. Time is not slipping away, it's being sanctified. Every second surrendered to God multiplies in impact. Every act of obedience today echoes into forever. So, don't resist the acceleration. Flow with it. Let it carry you, not rush you. You're not racing against time, you're running with purpose. Heaven is not counting your minutes, it's measuring your faithfulness. The hour is near, but so is grace. Step into the rhythm of eternity, where every moment counts. And every heartbeat says the same thing. Heaven is whispering now, be ready. Or time, to the chosen, is not a threat, it's a canvas. Each day you live, surrendered, becomes another brushstroke in God's masterpiece. When you understand this, you stop fearing the clock and start partnering with it. Every second becomes sacred. Every moment, meaningful. That's what the number 8 truly represents, continuity through change. It's the infinite loop of divine renewal, where endings become entrances and death turns to resurrection. You are stepping into that eternal rhythm now where purpose never pauses and destiny never expires. There is a stirring across the hearts of those who have ears to hear, a quiet gathering happening beneath the surface of the visible world. It's not organized by men, not publicized by platforms. Heaven itself is orchestrating it. The remnant is being drawn together. You might have noticed it too, meeting people unexpectedly who speak your spiritual language, finding comfort with strangers who carry the same flame. It's not coincidence, it's connection. The gathering of the remnant has begun. These are not perfect people, but purified ones, those who've walked through fire, endured silence, and still hold the name of God with reverence. They are scattered across cities and nations, each one forged in solitude, yet destined for unity. Their voices differ, their journeys vary, but their hearts beat with the same divine rhythm, Thy kingdom come. You have probably felt the pull, a longing to belong, but not just anywhere. A deep sense that your soul recognizes certain people, not by face, but by spirit. When you meet them, there is no need for explanation. It's as if heaven whispers, "This one is part of your tribe." These connections are not accidental. They are prophetic alignments, threads of destiny, weaving a global tapestry of light. There's a man named Caleb who shared a story once. For years, he thought he was alone in his faith. He carried visions, dreams, and burdens that few understood. One day, he attended a small gathering, expecting nothing special. But as he listened, he felt the same fire in the words of another speaker that burned inside his own heart. Tears came unbidden. He realized in that moment that God had not left him isolated. He had simply been preparing him for his tribe. That's what the gathering of the remnant looks like. It's not about crowd size, it's about heart resonance. Heaven doesn't unite people through convenience, but through calling. The remnant recognizes each other by the presence they carry, not the titles they wear. When they meet, even in silence, something in the atmosphere aligns. We are reminded in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16, "Then those who feared the Lord spoke with one another, and the Lord listened and heard them. A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name." And that verse captures the mystery of this moment. Every conversation among the faithful, every whisper of encouragement, every shared revelation, it's all recorded. Heaven writes scrolls of remembrance, not for the famous, but for the faithful. The remnant carries the memory of heaven on earth. They are guardians of integrity, intercessors of mercy, builders of restoration. When the world grows darker, they shine brighter, not by effort, but by essence. Their light doesn't come from striving. It flows from staying close to the source. You might not even realize that you are part of this gathering. Perhaps you've been feeling an unexplainable pull toward deeper prayer, toward purity, toward simplicity. That's how heaven gathers the remnant, not through announcements, but through awakening. The same spirit stirring in one heart across the ocean is the same spirit stirring in you right now. It's the pulse of eternity linking chosen hearts across time zones and tongues. This gathering will not always be visible. Sometimes it happens in coffee shops, sometimes online, sometimes through a quiet conversation that shifts someone's entire path. The remnant doesn't always wear robes or titles. Sometimes they wear work uniforms, carry children, or sit silently in prayer while the world rushes by. But wherever they are, the presence of God gathers around them like a gentle wind. The remnant are not rebels, they are restorers. Their unity isn't rebellion against the old, it's revelation of the new. They are not here to build monuments to themselves, but to prepare the way for what heaven is birthing next. Their purpose is not domination, but demonstration to live so truthfully, so compassionately, that others recognize God without being told His name. This is why your journey had to be so personal, so painful, and so precise. Every wound trained your empathy. Every silence tuned your ear. Every isolation taught you how to recognize authenticity. You were being shaped to stand beside others who carry the same fire. And soon, that gathering will become visible. Hearts once scattered will find each other. Voices once silenced will harmonize. The remnant will rise not as an army of pride, but as a family of purpose. Their unity will not depend on sameness, but on surrender. So, if you've ever felt too different, too spiritual, too intense for this world, know this: you are not too much. You are part of something magnificent and ancient, a movement older than empires, written before the foundations of the earth. The remnant is not coming, they are already here. And you, chosen one, are one of them. There is a moment in the journey of every chosen one when power begins to manifest not in noise, not in spectacle, but in quiet miracles that unfold like morning light. This is that moment. You have endured the waiting, survived the testing, and now you are being mantled for miracles. Heaven is preparing to confirm through your life what it has long whispered in your spirit. The word mantled means more than being covered, it means being clothed with purpose. When God mantles someone, He wraps them in authority that cannot be manufactured or mimicked. It's not the kind of power that demands attention, it's the kind that attracts transformation. Miracles are not given to glorify you, they are entrusted to reveal Him. You might not notice it immediately. It often begins subtly. Prayers that once felt heavy begin to move swiftly. Doors that were sealed for years suddenly open. People cross your path in perfect timing, and answers come through channels you could never have arranged yourself. That's the signature of divine favor. It never draws attention to the vessel, it magnifies the source. Think of Elijah's mantle falling on Elisha. The fabric wasn't special, it was symbolic. It represented a transfer of faith, courage, and power. Elisha didn't receive it because he was the loudest or the most qualified. He received it because he stayed, because he remained faithful when others left, because heaven always rewards persistence with power. You've been faithful through pain, steadfast through confusion, obedient in obscurity, and now heaven marks you as trustworthy. The mantle resting upon you isn't just for show, it's for service. You will find yourself in moments where the impossible bends under your words, not because of who you are, but because of who works through you. Miracles do not always shout. Sometimes they whisper. Sometimes they look like provision arriving at the final moment, or peace falling in the middle of chaos. Sometimes they come as reconciliation where bitterness once ruled, or healing in a heart you thought would never recover. You are about to see God's fingerprints in places that once looked forsaken. The word of the Lord is found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, verses 17 to 18. And these signs will follow those who believe. In my name they will cast out demons, they will speak in new tongues, they will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover. Oh, that promise was never confined to ancient pages. It breathes today through every believer who dares to believe again. The same Spirit that raised the dead in Scripture now dwells within you, waiting for your cooperation, not your perfection. Miracles are heaven's language of affirmation. I am still here. I am still able. But remember, miracles flow best through meekness. The mantle you carry is not to prove power, but to demonstrate love. True miracles don't draw worship to the worker. They direct hearts to the Father. Each one is a glimpse of heaven breaking through the cracks of earth's despair. You were chosen not just to witness them, but to be the vessel through which they appear. The enemy will try to make you doubt it. He will whisper that you're not worthy, that miracles are for others, that you've made too many mistakes. But grace silences those lies. Heaven does not look for perfection, it looks for agreement. All it takes is a heart that says, "Use me, Lord," and the impossible begins to move. Soon, people around you will notice. They will see peace where there should be panic, provision where there should be lack, joy where there should be grief. They will ask, "What changed?" And you will simply smile, because you'll know it wasn't your strength. It was the mantle. Miracles are not random. They are relational. They flow wherever faith and love meet. And as you keep walking in obedience, miracles will not only visit you, they will begin to follow you. Wherever you go, hope will take root. Wherever you speak, healing will start to stir. You are not chasing signs, signs will chase you. You are not asking for wonders, wonders are waiting for your yes. The mantle resting on your shoulders is heaven's declaration. The time of manifestation has begun. Walk gently, but walk expectantly. You are clothed with divine purpose. And soon, the world will see through you what heaven has been preparing all along, evidence that God is still near, still moving, still miraculous. Every breath you take now carries assignment. Every step releases unseen ripples into eternity. You are walking proof that the supernatural is not distant. It lives, moves, and breathes through surrendered hearts like yours. As light rises, so does deception. The closer heaven draws, the harder darkness fights to imitate it. You've probably seen it, the confusion spreading through the world. Truth dressed in half-lies. Spirituality without surrender. Charisma without character. But the chosen cannot be easily deceived. Your discernment is sharpening because you were never meant to follow every light, you were meant to test them. False lights often shine the brightest at first. They promise ease, instant peace, effortless success. They mimic divine presence, but lack divine purity. Like a mirage in the desert, they shimmer beautifully until you draw near and find nothing to drink. You have encountered some of these mirages, haven't you? Situations that looked like blessings but became burdens, opportunities that glittered with promise yet drained your soul. Every false light that faded was heaven's mercy in disguise. Discernment is not cynicism. It's clarity born from intimacy. When you walk closely with the true light, imitation becomes obvious. The chosen know truth, not because they analyze harder, but because they recognize presence. When you've encountered the real, the counterfeit can't stay comfortable near you. There's a story of a young man named Isaiah who longed for spiritual depth. He followed every teacher, every trend, every new revelation. For years, he felt full of knowledge, but empty of peace. Then one night, exhausted, he whispered, "God, if you're real, strip away everything that isn't you." What followed wasn't thunder, but quiet clarity. Friends faded, habits changed, and slowly, truth took root where noise once lived. Isaiah learned that discernment often arrives disguised as loss. The chosen learn through experience that not every open door is divine. Some doors lead to distraction, not destiny. And sometimes, protection feels like rejection until perspective returns. God is not cruel when He closes what you wanted. He's kind enough to protect what you carry. As it is written in the second book of Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 14, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. Be watchful and discerning in the truth of God." Those words echo loudly today. The closer the kingdom comes, the more counterfeits appear. Yet even now, heaven is equipping you with vision that pierces disguise. You no longer chase appearances, you discern atmospheres. You can feel when peace is real and when it's performed. That sensitivity is not weakness, it's spiritual maturity. You are being positioned to stand firm while many stumble. The end-time leaders are not those who shout the loudest, but those who remain calm when confusion rises. They carry truth like oil in their lamps. Steady, glowing, unbothered by imitation flames. And if this message resonates with your spirit, let it stir gratitude in you, not pride, but peace. Gratitude, because God has trusted you with clear sight in a foggy age. Gratitude, because discernment means protection. When you feel thankful, let that thankfulness flow into simple acts that keep the light spreading. Like this message, as if you were lighting another candle beside your own, each small flame joining a vast constellation across the earth. Every like is not a number, it's a spark that tells heaven, "This light still burns in me." Share this message the way a traveler places a lantern on the roadside for those walking behind. You never know who's wandering in the dark tonight, searching for truth that doesn't vanish by morning. Your share might be their first glimpse of direction. Subscribe if you wish to remain near this well of living words. Think of it not as following, but as returning to a familiar fire whenever the world grows cold. Here, we gather not to consume, but to stay warm together, embers guarding one another from the wind. And if your heart feels moved, imagine this work as a garden of light. Each message is a seed planted with care, watered with prayer, growing quietly in digital soil. If you feel led, You can donate not as obligation, but as rain for the garden. Every drop ensures that others who are weary will still find fruit when they arrive. You are not paying for words, you are partnering in the harvest. If giving isn't possible, let your presence be the offering. Prayer. Each moment of attention, each act of kindness in your own world keeps this garden alive. Support takes many forms, and all of them are sacred. So walk forward. Chosen one, keep your lamp trimmed, your heart steady, and your discernment sharp. The false lights will flicker and fade, but your flame will not. And if you feel this message awakening something deep within, comment, "I guard truth." It's more than words, it's a vow between your spirit and heaven that you will keep your flame pure. Every time one heart types those words, the world grows a little brighter. Because light doesn't compete, it simply shines. And you, more than you know, are helping the world see clearly again. There are crowns that glimmer for a moment, and then there are crowns that never fade. The world offers the first kind praise, position, applause. Heaven offers the second glory, woven from surrender, humility, and endurance. You, chosen one, are being crowned in hidden glory. Not the kind others will immediately see, but the kind that heaven has already recorded in its eternal books. This coronation is quiet. There are no trumpets, no cameras, no ceremonies. It happens in the stillness of your obedience, in the unseen choices you make when no one is watching. Each time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, compassion over judgment, purpose over pride, heaven places another jewel upon your invisible crown. Hidden glory does not seek recognition, it reveals transformation. God crowns you not when you become perfect, but when your heart stays faithful despite imperfection. Glory, in its truest sense, is not brightness, it's weight. It's the weight of divine presence resting on a life that has been purified through pain and tested through time. You might not feel glorious right now. You might still be healing, still finding your footing, still wondering when all the struggle will make sense. But even in your uncertainty, heaven is engraving your name among the faithful. The world measures strength by success, but God measures it by surrender. The more you lay down your will, the more He lifts up your destiny. Think of a diamond buried deep within the earth. It forms under pressure, unseen. For years, no applause, no acknowledgement, just silent transformation. One day, it is uncovered, not because it changed shape overnight, but because the time had come for what was hidden to be revealed. That is what is happening within you. Heaven has been shaping your brilliance in secret. And soon, what was hidden will begin to gleam. We read in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 10, "And after you have suffered, the God of all grace, who called you to His glory, will Himself restore you, strengthen and confirm you, and establish you." This is the promise of the crown unseen. It speaks of process, of patience, of the quiet endurance that heaven honors. Every tear you shed has been an offering. Every silent prayer has been preparation. What looked like loss was actually the crafting of your resilience. Restoration is not coming, it has already begun. The hidden glory is also a shield. It protects you from pride and keeps your heart pure. You are learning to carry honor without vanity. power without arrogance, and influence without losing intimacy. This is how kings and queens in the kingdom are trained, not by adoration, but by anonymity. One day, when the light of your calling breaks fully into view, people will wonder how you carry such peace, such wisdom, such authority without boasting. They won't understand that it was all birthed in secret places, where God crowned you when no one else was looking. Hidden glory is not temporary, it matures quietly. It's like morning dew on a blade of grass, unseen in the dark, but radiant when touched by dawn. You don't need to announce it. It speaks for itself through your gentleness, your patience, your resilience. There's a story of a woman named Ruth, not the one from Scripture, but one of today. She spent years caring for others, unnoticed, uncelebrated, pouring love into lives that often forgot to say thank you. Yet everywhere she went, peace followed her. Strangers would say, "There's something about you." They didn't know what it was, but heaven did. It was glory, the quiet kind that transforms without spectacle. That is the type of crown resting upon you. It's the reward for consistency, the reflection of grace upon a surrendered life. Heaven doesn't crown perfection, it crowns perseverance. And when you finally look back, you'll see that every valley was part of your coronation route. Every disappointment polished another facet of your faith. Every unanswered prayer carved more room for God's presence. You are not waiting to be crowned, you are already wearing one. It may be unseen, but it is undeniable. The evidence is in the peace you carry, the hope you refuse to lose, and the light that lingers wherever you stand. So, walk gently under this invisible crown. You don't need to prove it, you need only to live it. Let your humility become your radiance, your compassion, your scepter, your endurance, your robe. Because heaven has already declared it, the hidden ones are the crowned ones. And in the fullness of time, what was veiled in silence will shine before nations. There comes a point where preparation ends and purpose begins. You can feel it like the stillness before dawn, like the moment the wind changes before rain. Heaven has been writing your story line by line, and now the page is turning. The final commission has arrived. You have walked through the valley of breaking, the wilderness of waiting, the mountain of revelation, and the river of refinement. Each chapter has been necessary. Nothing was wasted. Every hardship carved the shape of your obedience. Every silence strengthened the sound of your faith. You have been trained not just to endure, but to lead with gentleness, with authority, and with the kind of wisdom that only pain can teach. The final commission is not a crown placed on your head, it's a mantle placed on your shoulders. It is the moment heaven says, "Now, go." You are not stepping into something foreign, you are stepping into what your soul has always known. You were made for this hour. Every breath you've taken, every prayer you've whispered, every choice you've made in faith has been guiding you toward this divine intersection of destiny and obedience. It is time to lead, not as the world leads, but as heaven commands, quietly, courageously, and completely dependent on grace. The world does not need another performer, it needs presence. It needs those who can walk into chaos and carry calm, those who can speak into fear and breathe faith, those who can see darkness and still choose light. That is you. As the scripture declares in the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 8. He has shown you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That is your commission in its purest form. It's not about titles, followers, or fame. It's about living truth, loving deeply, and walking humbly. Heaven's greatest leaders are not those who dominate, they are those who demonstrate. They show what grace looks like in human form. Leadership in this hour will not be easy. The world will test your patience. People will misunderstand your motives, and shadows will try to dim your shine. But remember, light doesn't argue with darkness, it simply shines. You don't have to convince anyone, you only have to stay aligned. Your stability will speak louder than your words. You are not being sent alone. The same spirit that guided prophets, sustained martyrs, and comforted the broken now walks beside you. Every word you speak in obedience echoes in eternity. Every act of compassion rewrites a story. Every step you take in faith adds another brushstroke to heaven's unfolding masterpiece. The commission also carries a call to courage, not the loud, reckless kind, but the quiet bravery of consistency, courage that chooses forgiveness when revenge feels easier, courage that keeps believing when logic says stop, courage that prays for those who wound you and blesses those who misunderstand you. That's the kind of leadership heaven recognizes. Remember the earlier seasons, the waiting, the silence, the shaping. Those weren't detours, they were discipline. You were learning how to hear God in noise, how to trust when nothing moved, how to see beauty in ashes. Now those lessons will become your compass. They will keep you grounded when the world shakes. And when doubt whispers that you are too small for such a calling, remember this: the greatest movements of heaven have always begun with a single obedient heart. Noah built an ark before rain existed. David ran toward a giant with a sling. Esther stood before a king when silence would have been safer. Every act of obedience rewrote history. Yours will too. There will be days when you'll want to return to hiding, to step back into the familiar safety of the unseen. But that season is over. You have been called to stand in the open, to carry light into public spaces, to let truth speak through your life. The hiding was preparation. The revealing is purpose. And yes, there will be moments when the weight feels heavy. But remember, you carry this mantle alongside countless others across the earth. Heaven's army doesn't march in uniform, it moves in unity. Each chosen one shining in their corner of the world until the whole sky glows. You are the continuation of a story that began long before you and will continue long after. What matters now is not how loud you lead, but how faithfully you finish. Walk forward. The hour is late, but the harvest is ready. The crown you wear is invisible, but its radiance is unmistakable. Heaven's eyes are on you, not in judgment, but in joy. The page is turning, the trumpet is sounding, and destiny is unfolding at your feet. This is your final commission. Live as light. Love without measure, and let your life declare that the kingdom has come near. And now, chosen one, the message finds its rest in you. What began as words on a screen has become a whisper in your spirit, a reminder that you were never ordinary, never misplaced, never forgotten. You've walked through revelation after revelation, and still, the journey continues. But from here, You no longer walk as a seeker, you walk as a carrier of light. If this series has stirred something within you, let that fire not fade. Like this message, the way one places a stone upon an altar as a sign of remembrance, every like becomes a quiet echo of gratitude, a thank you whispered to heaven for what was awakened here. Share these words as one who passes the torch. Somewhere, someone is standing at their breaking point, unaware that hope is still breathing. Your act of sharing could become their dawn. You are not spreading content, you are extending light. Subscribe if your soul longs to stay close to this flow of messages, not out of routine, but to remain within the rhythm of heaven's heartbeat. Think of it as returning to a sacred campfire where faith stays warm and the darkness stays far. And if your heart feels moved beyond words, imagine this work as a river of light flowing across the earth, carrying hope to dry places. Donate only if you feel led, not as duty, but as devotion. Every offering becomes a ripple that keeps the river alive for those still searching for living water. Finally, if this message met you where you are, comment, "I carry light." Let it be your way of saying to heaven, "The flame you placed in me will not go out." Each comment becomes a star added to the sky of this calling, a silent signal that the chosen still shine. The story doesn't end here, it continues through you. Carry it forward. One act of kindness, one word of truth, one heartbeat of faith at a time.